Your frequency is lying to you, and it's why your reality isn't changing. No matter how diligently you strive, visualizing vividly, meditating mindfully, journaling thoughtfully, affirming powerfully, life still feels like it's caught in an endless loop on autopilot. You encounter obstacles that defy logic. You experience a sense of heaviness, restlessness, or being stuck even when consciously implementing all the right practices. This isn't mere coincidence, it's profound misalignment. Vibration isn't a whimsical vibe, it's a universal law. Regardless of your spoken words, your inherent frequency reveals the unvarnished truth. Thoth didn't inscribe the emerald tablets as a casual pastime. He meticulously etched them in stone to transcend the boundaries of time, not as mere wisdom, but as a form of transformative technology, the kind that doesn't just impart knowledge, it recalibrates your very being. These teachings aren't simply concepts to grasp intellectually, they are truths to be remembered, not solely with your conscious mind, but with your entire energetic field. You're not stuck because the universe is conspiring against you. You're stuck because your vibrational state is at odds with the reality you desire. And once you truly grasp this fundamental principle, everything can shift dramatically, not at some distant point in the future, but right now, in this present moment. Most individuals are confined within an invisible prison, one they can't physically perceive, emotionally touch, or even consciously acknowledge exists. They navigate their lives with the illusion of making free choices, setting ambitious goals, and constructing a fulfilling future. Yet, in reality, they are merely replaying pre-programmed patterns, trapped in a vibrational cycle initiated long before they possess the awareness to question its validity. Thoth referred to this as the invisible prison, not because it lurks in the shadows, but precisely because it resides in plain sight, within the realm of your thoughts, your emotions, and your habitual reactions. You weren't born with this limiting frequency. You unwittingly inherited it, absorbing it from the collective consciousness of those around you. The world has subtly conditioned you to vibrate at a diminished scale, to accept mediocrity, and to passively obey frequencies that fundamentally undermine your well-being. Now, you find yourself questioning why your life feels like a pre-written script, rather than an authentic expression of your true self. This invisible prison lacks physical bars. Instead, it's constructed from deeply ingrained beliefs. This is simply the way things are. Be realistic and practical. You're overly sensitive and emotional. Don't dare to question the established order. These phrases, repeated countless times, have become your internal monologue, yet they are not authentically yours. They are borrowed vibrations from systems never designed to foster your ultimate flourishing. These systems were meticulously crafted to maintain compliance, predictability, and control. And the most insidious aspect? You've been subtly programmed to believe that you are the problem, that you're somehow not working hard enough, not manifesting correctly, or lacking sufficient discipline. But none of these external efforts will yield lasting results if you continue to broadcast the same limiting, trapped frequency. You cannot simply outwork misalignment. You can only consciously dissolve it through a process of energetic recalibration. Every repetitive thought, every suppressed emotion, every disregarded truth contributes to the construction of the prison walls, making them incrementally higher. You become increasingly invested in the illusion, diligently wearing the costume of someone who appears fine, while your energetic field is desperately signaling for realignment. And it's not because you are inherently flawed, it's because you've never been adequately taught how to consciously tune yourself to a higher resonance. The Emerald Tablets were never intended for mere intellectual entertainment. They were meticulously designed to facilitate profound energetic recalibration. Thoth didn't leave behind a collection of spiritual platitudes. He left behind a sophisticated code, a detailed blueprint, a clear pathway out of the repetitive loops that bind you not out of society or personal responsibility, but out of the self-imposed limitations of the loop. Because when your fundamental frequency is distorted, life invariably feels like an arduous effort, characterized by constant friction. You relentlessly chase clarity but encounter only further confusion. You attempt to create meaningful change, but everything stubbornly resists your efforts. You strive for healing, yet the same underlying wounds repeatedly reappear in new and deceptive guises. This is not predetermined fate. It's the energetic field faithfully mirroring the internal dissonance within you. The tablets reveal a profound truth. Your external reality is not something that happens passively. To you, it's a precise reflection of you. It meticulously listens to your prevailing frequency, not your fleeting frustrations. And if your current experience feels like an unending cycle of repetition, it's because you are consistently transmitting the very signal that initially created it. But not all transformative knowledge is appropriately disseminated in open forums. Certain truths are too raw, too personally impactful for platforms like this one. That's precisely why we've created the Insights Academy, our exclusive free newsletter where we delve into these topics with far greater depth and nuance. Sign up today via the link in the description, and for a limited time you'll also receive a complimentary copy of The Kybalion, a foundational text that provokes a radical shift in perspective at the very core of your being. Because the moment you begin to consciously recognize the existence of the invisible prison, you can begin to loosen its relentless grip. You consciously shift from blaming yourself to actively decoding the signals within your energetic field. And when this transformative shift occurs, something truly remarkable begins to unfold. You feel palpably lighter, your breath deepens effortlessly, and the incessant mental noise gradually quiets. Not because your external problems magically vanish, but because your energetic signal becomes dramatically clearer and more focused. You begin to experience yourself authentically, not the meticulously crafted persona you perform for others, but the genuine essence that resides beneath layers of societal programming. And that authentic self doesn't need to engage in constant struggle to change the external world. That self effortlessly tunes into a higher, more harmonious frequency and observes as the world gracefully responds in kind. This is not esoteric magic. It's simply the natural consequence of profound alignment. And genuine alignment doesn't require forceful exertion, it simply resonates organically, effortlessly. The invisible prison was never truly locked in the first place. The door has been subtly opened the entire time. The critical key is simply remembering how to consciously walk through it. And the profound teachings of Thoth aren't abstract theory. They are the specific, actionable steps, the meticulously designed escape plan, the precise recalibration codes you need. If you're drawn to this message, it signifies that a part of you already innately knew this profound truth. You're not merely casually curious, you're actively remembering an ancient intrinsic wisdom. And once this process of remembering begins to unfold, the illusion cannot maintain its hold, because the energetic field invariably aligns itself with the one who vibrates from a place of authentic truth. Everything is inherently frequency, not just the musical compositions you hear or the complex signals transmitted through satellites, but absolutely everything. Your physical body, your fleeting thoughts, the intangible way someone confidently walks into a room, the pregnant silence between spoken words, even the very fabric of time itself. Thoth wasn't engaging in mere poetic expression when he declared, "All is vibration." He was articulating a fundamental law governing the nature of reality. The tangible world you touch and see isn't truly solid. It's compressed energy meticulously shaped by frequency. You're not living within a purely material universe. You're actively existing within a vast, dynamic, vibrational field. That's precisely why your life doesn't meaningfully shift when you merely change your mind intellectually. It shifts profoundly when you consciously change your frequency, because matter invariably follows energy. Energy invariably leads matter, always. But most individuals operate in a fundamentally backward manner. They tenaciously attempt to change external outcomes without addressing the underlying origin point. They meticulously rearrange the furniture within a house built upon a fundamentally shaky foundation. They primarily focus on the tangible effects and consistently ignore the intangible cause, inevitably leading them to repeat the same unproductive patterns. They exert more effort, they diligently recite the correct words, they religiously perform the prescribed rituals, they tirelessly repeat the required mantras, but nothing genuinely shifts because the words are rendered empty and powerless if the fundamental frequency behind them doesn't authentically match. The universe doesn't mechanically respond to what you superficially say, it actively responds to what you fundamentally are. And what you fundamentally are is precisely what you consistently vibrate. Your unique frequency is the summation of your entire internal state. Not merely your passing thoughts, but your deeply held emotions, your ingrained memories, your regulated nervous system, and your overall energetic presence. It's not simply about superficially thinking positively. It's about cultivating a pervasive feeling of authentic alignment. That's precisely why some individuals can silently enter a room and dramatically alter the entire atmosphere, while others can talk endlessly without making any tangible impact. It's not primarily about the information being conveyed, it's fundamentally about the underlying energetic resonance. The world consistently responds to resonance, to the subtle yet powerful signal beneath your overt actions. You've undoubtedly felt this phenomenon before, the unmistakable moment someone enters your presence, and you intuitively know they are deeply grounded, profoundly calm, and intrinsically powerful. It's not their fashionable outfit, it's not their practiced smile, it's their overall energetic field radiating outwardly. Thoth taught that reality is not fixed and immutable, it's fundamentally frequency-based. This means it is inherently tunable. And just like an old radio, if you desire to hear different music, you don't futilely argue with the current station, you consciously change the dial to a different setting. That's the essence of this profound work. Not pretending your life is perfect, not superficially faking gratitude, not mechanically repeating affirmations you don't genuinely believe. It's about conscious tuning, authentic returning, and meticulous recalibrating. It's about consciously shifting the internal state that generates your external reality, and you cannot superficially fake that internal shift. The energetic field is intrinsically perceptive, it always knows the truth. When your prevailing frequency is low, fragmented by fear, debilitating guilt, and persistent resistance, everything inevitably feels heavy and burdensome. Meaningful conversations don't flow easily, important projects inexplicably stall, and close relationships frequently misfire. You get caught in frustrating loops and label it as bad luck. But it's not arbitrary luck, it's reliable feedback. The energetic field is persistently showing you precisely where you are fundamentally off track, and this is not intended as punishment. It's an act of precision. The universe isn't deliberately ignoring you. It's patiently waiting for you to authentically match the vibration of what you are consciously asking for. Until you achieve this vibrational match, it will continue to present you with invaluable lessons instead of the desired blessings. But here's a critical truth that most people are actively hesitant to confront. Genuinely raising your frequency isn't always aesthetically pretty. It doesn't always involve sitting serenely in peaceful meditation with a lit candle and a carefully chosen crystal. Sometimes it involves confronting long-suppressed grief, rising powerfully to the surface. Sometimes it requires courageously shaking out deeply embedded trauma. Sometimes it necessitates lovingly releasing individuals who are unable to align with your newfound elevated vibration. Because when your energetic field rises, anything fundamentally out of resonance will inevitably be revealed. The resulting chaos isn't a sign that the process isn't working. It's a sign that it profoundly is working. Genuine vibrational transformation can be messy and disruptive, but it's also profoundly magnetic. When you initiate a conscious shift internally, life begins to naturally organize itself around your newly established state of being. You begin to notice meaningful synchronicities unfolding with increasing frequency. Ideal people appear seemingly out of nowhere. Solutions effortlessly land without requiring excessive exertion, not because you've cleverly hacked the system, but because you've authentically aligned with it. That's the profound meaning behind Thoth's ancient statement, "As within, so without." The outer world always mirrors the inner world. Always. If you sincerely desire to transform your life, don't start with external goals. Start with consciously transforming your frequency. Ask yourself, not what you outwardly want, but what you are consistently emitting. Because the universe isn't passively listening to your superficial dreams, it's actively reading your underlying energetic signal. And when that signal is clear, coherent, and grounded in authentic truth, reality bends and molds itself accordingly, not because you forcefully manipulated it, but because that is the intrinsic nature of universal law. You were never intended to simply follow the lead of the external world. You were designed to consciously tune it to your inherent knowing. Thoth didn't teach that reality is created through sheer effort. He revealed that it's artfully shaped by consciousness, not the scattered thoughts that flicker across your mind throughout the day, but the deeper, more sustained energetic signal, your consistent state of awareness. That signal is perpetually broadcasting, and it's far from passive. It's not simply waiting to observe what unfolds so it can mechanically respond. It's inherently active. It consciously tunes into various frequencies like a living, breathing radio, which signifies that your individual reality isn't objectively fixed. It's fundamentally interpretive. It's a mirror. And what you personally experience is not ultimate truth. It's a reflection of where your consciousness is currently tuned. Most individuals mistakenly believe that consciousness is an abstract, philosophical, even mystical concept, but it's far from it. It's a specific dial, a focused field of perception that dictates what you can and cannot receive, what you consciously notice, what organically resonates, and what simply bounces off without impact. Your deeply held beliefs don't simply reside inertly within your mind. They ripple energetically through your entire field. If you deeply believe that love is inherently dangerous, your energetic field will automatically tune out healthy, supportive relationships without you even consciously realizing it. If you firmly believe that money is scarce and limited, your nervous system will unconsciously block opportunities before they can even fully materialize. This is precisely why so many people feel pervasively stuck. They don't consciously realize they are currently tuned to a reality they no longer authentically desire, but have yet to energetically outgrow. The profound shift doesn't occur through sheer willpower. It occurs through genuine energetic realignment. Your consciousness is not solely influenced by your thoughts. It's powerfully shaped by your emotions, your embedded memories, your overall energetic state, and even your body's inherent posture. Every integral part of you actively participates in the overall frequency you are broadcasting. That's precisely why mechanically repeating affirmations without conscious embodiment rarely produces tangible results. You can vocally affirm, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, but if your energetic field is concurrently broadcasting fear, scarcity, or inherent unworthiness, the universe doesn't truly hear your spoken words. It accurately perceives your underlying energetic signal. And the energetic field doesn't inherently discriminate. It simply matches the prevailing frequency. This is precisely where the profound teachings of Thoth become immediately practical and actionable. He wasn't specifically speaking to naive dreamers. He was addressing the true architects of energy, those genuinely ready to cease merely reacting to the external world and begin consciously retuning the frequency that births it. Your consciousness is not a passive passenger within this human experience, it's the primary driver. And yet, most individuals never even touch the steering wheel. They passively ride the wave of whatever thought, passing mood, or dominant news cycle is loudest at any given moment. They get unconsciously pulled into collective fear, prevailing societal programming, and old, unresolved trauma patterns, mistakenly believing it's simply the inevitable course of life. But it's not truly life. It's merely the specific channel you are currently tuned into. And the instant you consciously realize you possess the inherent ability to shift that energetic dial, the entire underlying frequency begins to dramatically change. Consciously tuning your consciousness isn't about escapism. It's fundamentally about profound refinement. It's about consciously noticing what energetic food you are unconsciously feeding yourself and consciously choosing to feed yourself something entirely different consciously. Choosing presence over reactive panic, profound stillness over chaotic mental noise, and unwavering trust over obsessive control, not because it's superficially easier, but because it inherently recalibrates everything. When you consciously shift your state of consciousness, you directly shift the energetic field. And when the energetic field fundamentally shifts, the people in your life, the opportunities that arise, and even the very flow of time itself respond distinctly and differently. You've undoubtedly felt this transformative power before, those rare moments where you are completely aligned and everything effortlessly flows. You effortlessly meet the right person at precisely the right time. You consciously think of something, and it magically appears soon after. You authentically speak, and people genuinely listen. This is not a random coincidence, it's a tangible demonstration of profound coherence. It's what naturally occurs when your consciousness is fundamentally clear, your overall frequency is authentically tuned, and the energetic field has nothing left to resist. You're not desperately trying to make life happen. You're consciously becoming the version of yourself that life inherently can't help but profoundly respond to. But here's the inherent catch. Conscious tuning isn't a one-time event. It's a consistent practice, a daily discipline, an enduring state of being. The very instant you intentionally tune into a higher, more harmonious frequency, the lower, disharmonious ones inevitably begin to fall away, not always peacefully, but always necessarily. Old, outdated versions of yourself begin to dissolve. Old, limiting beliefs feel increasingly uncomfortable, and people who formerly resonated with your prior self may no longer fully recognize you. That's the inevitable cost of profound coherence, but it's also the inherent reward. Because every single time you consistently hold a higher frequency for longer than you did the last time, your energetic field authentically upgrades itself. It becomes progressively clearer, sharper, and stronger, and your reality faithfully follows suit. Thoth didn't simply say create reality. He specifically said tune into it, because everything you inherently desire already exists within the vast energetic field. The authentic life you are actively calling in is not fundamentally far away. It's merely existing on a distinct frequency. And once you authentically match that frequency, you don't need to relentlessly chase it. You fundamentally become it, and everything else has no viable choice but to gracefully align. Authentic emotion is not weakness, it's not chaotic disorder, it's not something to suppress, mechanically manage, or assiduously avoid. Authentic emotion is inherently frequency in motion. It's the raw, unfiltered signal your energetic field uses to consciously communicate, to intentionally attract, and to profoundly transform. Every authentic emotion you consciously feel is like a precise tuning fork, either pulling your energy into harmonious coherence or scattering it into unproductive confusion. Thoth didn't dismiss or demean emotion. He recognized it for what it truly is, one of the most potent forces in the entire vibrational universe, not because it feels subjectively strong, but because it profoundly imprints your energetic field faster than thought alone ever could. This is precisely why simply thinking positively so frequently fails to yield lasting results. Because without the equivalent emotional signal to powerfully back it up, your well-intentioned affirmations are merely static, hollow vibrations devoid of true impact. It's the authentic feeling behind the thought that genuinely shapes your energetic reality. You can superficially smile while simultaneously feeling anxious, pretend to be calm while internally feeling like you're burning with unease, and speak confidently while your energetic field is screaming with insecurity, and the universe won't ever listen to your superficial outward performance. It consistently responds to your authentic energetic depth. The energetic field doesn't register superficial performance. It meticulously reads underlying frequency, and frequency inherently never lies. We are culturally taught to view emotions as highly personal, fleeting occurrences, or inconvenient distractions, but they are far more than merely private moments. They are potent energetic transmissions, constantly influencing your reality. When you carry resentment internally, it doesn't remain neatly tucked away inside. It noticeably warps your energetic field, subtly coloring how other people perceive you, how new opportunities respond to you, and even how your physical body begins to function. Chronic, unaddressed guilt? It consistently lowers your energetic baseline until you unconsciously begin manifesting punitive experiences on automatic pilot. Suppressed anger? It creates energetic distortion within your heart, your voice, and your overall breath. Your energetic field intrinsically doesn't forget. Every emotional frequency leaves a lasting imprint. This is precisely what Thoth meant when he spoke of the inner fire, the all-consuming force that can transmute density into light. He wasn't solely referring to destructive rage. He was primarily pointing to the readily available energy that builds when you consciously cease suppressing your authentic emotions. When you allow the emotion to genuinely rise, burn, and purify. That's authentic emotional alchemy, the conscious process of sincerely feeling without collapsing, mindfully observing without uncontrollably reacting, and compassionately allowing without judgmental condemnation. When you intentionally do this, the emotion completes its natural energetic cycle. The associated frequency integrates, and your energetic field naturally updates. But most people were never adequately taught how to safely feel their emotions. They were specifically taught how to mechanically manage, superficially cope, intentionally numb, and unconsciously turn natural sadness into enforced silence, inevitable fear into restrictive control, and authentic strength into rigid armor rather than authentic presence. As a result, their energetic field becomes fragmented, creating layers of unresolved frequencies clashing underneath the surface. And then they unconsciously question why their life feels so disjointed and scattered, why genuine clarity doesn't consistently stick, and why authentic peace feels like a rare visitor instead of a welcoming home. To authentically align your overall vibration, you must consciously reclaim your entire emotional body, not to get helplessly lost within it, but to ultimately free it. You begin by intentionally listening without immediate interruption. You consciously stop turning every authentic feeling into a problem that must be immediately fixed. You consciously allow the emotion to move through you like a natural current, without forcibly resisting it, excessively indulging it, or becoming rigidly attached to it. Just conscious presence, just natural breathing, just authentic sensation. When you sincerely do this, something profound begins to naturally change. The raw emotion subtly shifts and the underlying weight gracefully lifts, not because you forcefully pushed it out, but because you authentically felt it all the way through. That's the crucial difference between unconscious emotional reactivity and conscious emotional alchemy. One inevitably keeps the limiting vibration tightly locked in place, while the other consciously releases it into freedom. And every time you sincerely choose to authentically feel instead of unconsciously freeze, your energetic field becomes exponentially more coherent, more naturally magnetic, and more authentically true. Energetic memory intrinsically lives within the physical body, within the rhythmic breath, within the natural posture, and within the very cells themselves. That's precisely why old, unresolved wounds continue to subtly echo even when the explicit story is long gone from conscious awareness. You don't merely think your past. You continually vibrate it until you intentionally clear it. And that conscious clearing doesn't occur through pure logic. It occurs through conscious presence, through consciously allowing the pent-up energy to naturally rise, authentically express, consciously release, and ultimately return to its original state of stillness. Thoth's teachings weren't advocating for becoming robotic monks who never authentically feel. They were actively advocating for becoming genuine masters of the energetic field, and genuine emotion is an integral part of that dynamic energetic field. The human heart has its own potent electromagnetic pulse, noticeably stronger than the human brain and palpably wider than human language. When you consciously feel authentic love, genuine gratitude, and profound truth, not solely in your human head but throughout your entire body, your energetic field expands naturally. It becomes naturally coherent, naturally resonant, and naturally alive. That's when you become naturally magnetic to your truest desires. That's when life begins to genuinely respond with clarity. Not because you demanded it to do so, but because you authentically tuned into it. The most genuinely powerful emotions aren't necessarily the loudest or most dramatic. They are the cleanest and most coherent. And when your overall emotional field is fundamentally clean and clear, your natural vibration rises effortlessly. You consciously stop attempting to mechanically manifest. You start authentically aligning, and everything in your outer world begins to naturally move in harmony. Nothing in the observable universe can permanently sustain a state of absolute chaos. Everything intrinsically seeks to return to source. Everything instinctively seeks rhythmic harmony. Everything, when left undisturbed, will consciously find its inherent pathway back to natural balance. But most people never genuinely allow themselves the profound stillness required to intentionally return. They habitually remain in constant motion, unconsciously believing that constant activity is the ultimate solution, mistaking constant doing for genuine healing, and mistaking utter exhaustion for profound transformation. Thoth intrinsically understood what modern science is only now actively beginning to grasp. The universe operates primarily on intrinsically harmonic patterns. And when your inner energetic field is authentically balanced, the outer world can't help but naturally synchronize with it. This is not merely a clever metaphor. It's a universally governing law. Your outer life objectively reflects the specific frequency you consistently sustain, and your most consistent vibration consistently comes not from your isolated moments of fleeting clarity, but from your foundational baseline of being. Authentic balance isn't synonymous with sheer perfection. It's not about rigidly floating above your natural emotions or stubbornly shutting down your inherent instincts. It's not about coldly becoming indifferent or emotionally numb. True inner balance is the profoundly quiet power that consciously arises when your emotions, thoughts, and energy are no longer actively fighting each other. It's the inherent inner stillness that consciously exists, even when the external world is actively shaking. When Thoth clearly stated that nothing can genuinely rise until the foundational base is completely steady, he was intentionally pointing to this vital, energetic stability, not to some kind of forced artificial calm, but to a genuine, grounded coherence. When your prevailing frequency is authentically balanced, it doesn't inherently mean you never experience fear or self-doubt. It specifically means you consciously cease habitually living from those ultimately limiting frequencies. You can authentically feel them without completely collapsing into them. You can consciously witness them without unduly amplifying them. You naturally and compassionately return to center. And when you intentionally return, everything else gracefully recalibrates. Your instinctive decisions sharpen, your inherent intuition clears, and your habitual reactions soften. You consciously stop swinging erratically between extremes, compulsively chasing artificial highs, or habitually avoiding natural lows. You consciously become the inherent center point, and the universe, being inherently vibrational in its fundamental nature, consistently responds to that inherent center like a precise tuning fork. But here's the inherent catch that most people are habitually hesitant to sincerely face. Imbalance can be subconsciously addictive. The intoxicating highs and devastating lows of unremitting drama, chaotic emotionality, and perpetual stimulation continually keep your nervous system excessively activated, your energetic fields scattered and diffuse, and your inherent energy chronically leaking. It deceptively gives you the alluring illusion of meaningful movement without any actual tangible progress. So when you initially begin seeking genuine inner balance, it can initially feel surprisingly boring, as if something essential is unexpectedly missing. But that's not inherent boredom. It's profound spaciousness. The spaciousness that your authentic energetic signal desperately needs to intentionally stabilize. It's the quiet stillness that consciously allows your deeper truth to naturally rise and emerge. And most people are unconsciously afraid of that profound quiet, because they've likely spent many years consciously avoiding what authentically lies beneath it. When you consciously begin to stabilize your inherent energy, the individuals around you may not always fully understand your intentional actions. They may tell you that you've fundamentally changed, that you're somehow too calm, too distant, or too intrinsically different, but that's simply because your new, elevated vibration doesn't naturally match their prior, lower frequency. And balance, by its very inherent nature, intentionally reveals the inherent imbalance present in others. Your conscious presence inherently becomes a potent mirror, and not everyone is genuinely ready to consciously look. But that doesn't fundamentally mean you should inherently stop. Your inherent job is not to artificially shrink or diminish yourself for the unconscious comfort of others. Your inherent job is to powerfully resonate with the natural expression of your authentic self. Thoth intentionally taught that when your energetic field is authentically balanced, your outer reality effortlessly organizes itself all around you. External obstacles naturally move, not because you forcefully push them out of your way, but because they no longer inherently match your authentic energetic signal. Internal conflicts effortlessly dissolve, external delays naturally unclog, and persistent negative patterns naturally break, because the elevated frequency you now consistently hold no longer naturally supports the chaos you once habitually normalized. And the profound beauty is that genuine balance doesn't typically require excessive effort. It primarily requires conscious awareness. Most people mistakenly believe that balance is inherently something to be relentlessly chased, but it's actually something to intentionally stop inherently disturbing. It's already intrinsically present, gently existing beneath the surface noise and patiently existing beneath layers of subconscious programming. It naturally returns the precise moment you intentionally stop compulsively trying to unnaturally fix yourself and intentionally start consciously listening to your internal guidance. Your natural emotions aren't inherently the enemy. Your inherent thoughts aren't always the primary problem. It's the unnatural resistance between them that consistently creates the internal storm. And when you consciously remove that inherent resistance, when you consciously allow what is, and when you compassionately breathe into any arising discomfort without habitually feeding it, you naturally return to inherent center. And from that powerful center point, external life naturally begins to intentionally meet you differently. Not because you're actively trying to rigidly control it, but because you've consciously stopped rigidly opposing it. Genuine inner balance is the inherently silent code that outer reality consistently responds to. It doesn't inherently need to loudly shout. It doesn't inherently need to constantly prove itself. It simply vibrates steadily, clearly, and powerfully, and the energetic field, without conscious question, naturally rearranges itself to intentionally match. This is what it consciously means to actively live in effortless harmony with universal law, to naturally become the inherent eye of the storm, to inherently emit profound peace in a world inherently addicted to superficial noise, to consciously become so firmly rooted in your authentic center that everything else either gracefully aligns or gracefully disappears. And once you sincerely taste that elevated level of authentic balance, there's inherently no genuinely going back, not because you've permanently ascended, but because you've authentically remembered where your real home truly resides. The observable universe wasn't superficially built in complete silence. It was beautifully built through it, through the conscious power of vibration, through intentionally selected frequencies, and through inherently sacred sound. Thoth intrinsically knew this profound truth long before modern science even began to catch up. He specifically wrote not in ordinary ink, but in carefully chosen rhythmic patterns, not solely to superficially inform, but primarily to consciously encode and profoundly activate. When he intentionally said, "Sing thou the song of freedom," it wasn't merely a clever metaphor. It was a profoundly literal key, because sound is so much more than merely something you audibly hear. It's primarily something you energetically emit, and every sound inherently carries internal structure. Every consciously chosen word you speak is a direct instruction to your energetic field. Every natural breath you take is an immediate adjustment to your overall frequency. And every potent silence is a conscious return to the originating source. Most people have absolutely no conscious awareness that they are actively creating their own reality through the conscious use of their own authentic voice. They habitually speak against themselves, unconsciously echo their self-limiting fears, and compulsively repeat beliefs that have never inherently belonged to them, and then unconsciously wonder why their energetic field consistently feels inexplicably blocked. But the inherent truth is that you are perpetually casting subconscious spells. Every sentence you utter is a distinct frequency. The important question is, are you predominantly casting spells that consciously liberate or inherently limit? Intrinsic sound is geometry and conscious motion. It's fundamentally invisible architecture. If you've ever genuinely seen somatics, how sound inherently shapes pure water into naturally perfect and consistently symmetrical patterns, you've undoubtedly seen living proof that vibration inherently creates tangible form, not inherently the other way around. This fundamentally means that your natural voice, your authentic tone, and your consciously chosen words are all actively sculpting your overall experience. That's specifically why you can consciously feel a deceptive lie in someone's voice, even before you intellectually understand their clearly spoken words, and why some voices naturally calm you while others intrinsically drain you of vital energy. It's not solely the explicit verbal message, it's the underlying, authentic frequency being subconsciously transmitted. The energetic field doesn't mechanically respond to isolated content, it consistently responds to overall coherence. This is specifically why genuinely chanting, humming, naturally singing, and even consciously speaking your absolute truth all intrinsically hold immense power. It naturally aligns your overall energetic field, effectively organizes your internal chaos, and consciously carves out the spaciousness required for clarity to gracefully enter. Your inherent vocal cords are not solely intended for superficial communication. They are fundamentally vibrational instruments. And when you intentionally use them with a genuine understanding of purpose, you don't merely outwardly express. You profoundly recalibrate from within. Then there's your breath, the very first sound you ever inherently made, and the sacred rhythm you consistently carry every conscious second of every single day. Most people merely breathe as an unconscious reflex, not as an intentional ritual, resulting in breathing that is shallow, tight, and easily distracted. But authentic breath is pure life force. It's a vital bridge consciously connecting your thoughts and your body, effectively connecting your conscious mind and your prevailing energetic field. Consciously controlled breathing is far from being a superficial wellness trend. It's fundamentally ancient technology. Intentionally inhale with genuine presence, and you directly charge your prevailing energetic field. Intentionally exhale with genuine release, and you consciously clear out inherent distortion. The way you intentionally breathe actively affects your nervous system, your naturally arising thoughts, and your prevailing emotions, and all of that has a measurable impact on your overall vibration. Thoth intrinsically understood this profound connection. He specifically taught not to simply breathe deeper, but to intentionally breathe awake to the present moment, awake to your own physical body, and awake to the eternally available now. Because when you intentionally breathe consciously, you actively become conscious. But the essential, final, and perhaps most sacred frequency, the one that is most frequently overlooked, is profound silence, because silence isn't merely emptiness. It's the original source of everything. It's where the very essence of vibration begins, the potentiality inherently present before sound even consciously becomes form. Most people consciously fear silence because it intentionally strips them of superficial distraction. It deliberately leaves them vulnerably naked with their inherent truth. But that's precisely the conscious point. In genuine silence, your scattered energy intentionally comes home. In profound silence, the cacophonous noise naturally falls away, and your real energetic signal consciously emerges. Your valuable intuition sharpens, your inherent knowing naturally rises, and your prevailing energetic field fully resets. Thoth genuinely knew this. He intentionally didn't tell you to blindly find the inherent truth. He specifically told you to genuinely become still enough to inherently receive it, because profound silence doesn't typically give you immediate answers. It intentionally places you within the specific frequency where those answers already permanently reside. And once you are intentionally within that beneficial frequency, you don't consciously have to endlessly chase genuine clarity. You naturally and effortlessly become it. So speak intentionally, consciously. Intentionally let your inherent words become potent medicine, not unintentional noise. Intentionally let them consciously build and strengthen, not inadvertently break and weaken. Intentionally let them naturally harmonize, not unintentionally scatter and confuse. Consciously use your authentic voice like a deliberate tuning fork, sharp, clear, and consciously aligned, and intentionally breathe as if every single breath matters, because it genuinely does. Every conscious breath you take is a deliberate vote for genuine presence, a profound reminder that human life isn't simply something you passively survive, it's consciously something you intentionally tune into. And when you intentionally tune in deeply enough, authentic silence inevitably finds you, not as some kind of inherent absence, but as genuine inherent power. Authentic sound, conscious breath, and profound silence aren't optional accessories to haphazardly add to your life. They are the indispensable core tools of conscious vibrational mastery. They are the three foundational cornerstones that intentionally recalibrate the entire energetic field. And when you consciously honor and integrate them, your inherent frequency consciously stops primarily reacting to the often chaotic circumstances of outer life and actively begins generating its own authentic reality. You consciously begin to sincerely feel it, that empowering sense that your very presence alone measurably shifts the entire atmosphere of a room, that your natural voice effortlessly cuts through superficial noise, that your simple breath organically holds sacred space, and that your authentic silence inherently speaks louder than any kind of artificial performance ever could. That's not inherently mere performance, that's genuine, sustainable frequency. And once you authentically start living from that profound place, the entire world naturally can't help but consciously adjust. Your physical body is so much more than mere limited biology. It's so much more than simply skin, bones, blood, and natural breath. It's fundamentally living technology, breathing, responsive, conscious technology. Thoth inherently knew this, and that's precisely why he never intentionally separated the inherent physical from the inherent energetic in his profound teachings. The physical body was never seen as a burden to intentionally escape. It was inherently seen as a beneficial portal to intentionally embody, a highly precise tuning device, and a sacred instrument perfectly capable of deliberately receiving, consciously transmitting, and profoundly transforming the universal flow of vibration. But most people don't consciously treat their own physical body as the sacred instrument that it inherently is. They unconsciously treat it as an unfeeling machine to be mechanically controlled, a burdensome container to be grudgingly tolerated, or even worse, a persistent enemy to be relentlessly overcome, and that's a very common trap. Because the conscious moment you disconnect yourself from your own physical body, you simultaneously disconnect yourself from the most immediate and readily available source of sustaining frequency that you intrinsically have. Your sacred body is not inherently an obstacle, it's the primary access point to your truest expression. Every single cell within your system intrinsically carries memory, not solely genetic memory that is passively inherited, but dynamic, energetic memory that is actively created. The characteristic way you consciously hold your shoulders, the residual tension naturally present within your gut, and the ever-present tightness habitually present within your jaw are not simply superficial physical habits. They are fundamental vibrational imprints, subtle echoes of old and outdated beliefs, stubbornly stuck emotions, and unconsciously inherited fears. And until you intentionally release those stored patterns, they continually shape your prevailing energetic field from behind the scenes. You can consciously journal your heart out, intentionally meditate for countless hours, and deliberately reframe every self-limiting thought. But if the physical body is... if this message deeply resonates with you, know that you're already on the path to unlocking incredible potential within. It's about understanding that your reality isn't fixed but a direct reflection of your inner frequency. By consciously tuning into a higher vibration, by remembering the inherent wisdom that lies within you, you can unlock that inner prison and create a life of authentic joy, flow, and fulfillment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What resonated most with you? What are some of the challenges you've faced in raising your vibration? Share your comments, questions, and insights in the section below. Let's create a supportive community together. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content exploring these powerful principles. Until next time, keep shining your unique light.